Go for it.
Welcome, one and all, to Pit Road Productions, the third round of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series, sponsored by WBM Racing. We are here in Europe at Mugello. What a circuit to play host to the third round of this championship, and a solid field of GT3 cars ready to tackle these twists and turns through the Tuscan hills. Bringing it to you live on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel, it's me, Reese Gardner, with Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box and also producing behind the scenes. Well, Zippy, I've managed to climb out of the Mercedes after Long Beach, after a few trials and tribulations, and I get the feeling the drivers are going to be having a bit more here at Mugello. The walls might be a bit further away, but the turns, I think, are a little more difficult.
Yeah, definitely Long Beach was not one of the more forgiving circuits. Those walls, as you said, incredibly close. And definitely fair play to you for taking the car out that week. Definitely not one of my Princess-approved tracks by any means. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, we put Rob Campbell in the car. But before we get more into that, let's take a quick look at where we've been and indeed where we are going with Reese on the schedule.
Yes, Daytona started off the season a couple of weeks ago. We were at Long Beach last week, and now we're here at Mugello for round 3. Next couple of weeks will see us go back to the United States and back to Europe again. Laguna Seca and Hockenheim. We're doing a lot of pond hopping there. Spa and Silverstone will play host to round 6 and 7, with Imola, Rudskogen, and Sebring rounding out our 10-round season. Particularly looking forward to Rudskogen because I'm going to be jumping back in the Mercedes for that one. But also it's just a very interesting track, and it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers tackle it. In terms of the rest of this event to go, Zippy, I believe we also may have points as well.
We do indeed, sir. The overlay is just having a little bit of a moment here. I'm trying to resurrect it, but let's try this
alive.
one.
Nope.
There we go.
It's alive. It's alive. Drew Trader leading the championship from Kalman Giori and Tim Fiedler. Overall league administrator Adam Capps in 4th, with Matt Murphy rounding out your top 5. Rios, Shelton, Coleman, and Newhart, with Morgan Smith rounding out the top 10. There's a solid amount of drivers that have gotten points in the series so far, and there's a few of them that I haven't seen since round 1. Hopefully they will make a return at some point during the season, but at the moment it looks like it's going to be Drew Trader and Kalman Giori together again, much the same as it was last season.
Yeah, I'm just trying to refresh the point series because it's having a little bit of a moment here. There we go. That's better. And you know why I know it's better? Because Pit Road Productions is in P7. Let's try this again.
There it is. Okay, right. We were looking at the wrong standings the whole time. I was just on autopilot there. Sorry, everybody. Parker Dime is the one leading the way, with Morgan Smith and Austin Diltz there. Kalman Giori in 4th, with Jacob Quayle rounding out your top 5. And then Kyle Shelton in P6. Out Team Productions. I like that. Gleason, Murphy, and Fiedler in 10th place there. And, well, at the moment, it's looking like Parker Dime is the one to beat, because he has had an incredible season thus far. It was just sheer domination at Long Beach, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Certainly Parker is indeed the man to beat, Reese, by all means. But let's take a look, see if we can go on board, actually, with Parker Dime, see if we can get a little bit of a view here, as he's currently going around Mugello. Obviously, he's rocking the Mustang, ladies and gentlemen. And not only that, who do we see making a return? Actually, we've got a bit of a mix-up here, ladies and gentlemen. The Audis have come out to play. Morgan Smith has indeed switched his car, and I could have sworn I'd seen the second one. I did. Ladies and gentlemen, the boys are back in town. Fozzie Pizzero makes a return, also in an Audi. Fantastic stuff here at Elite Entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. The GT3s getting their brand new tire model for the upcoming iRacing season. And so everyone has been afforded the chance to change their car for this round. And they will be expected to stick with it for the rest of the season, lest they get a penalty. But yeah, looks like the Audi has formed as a bit of a popular choice among the WBM crew. Parker Dime, of course, sticking with his Mustang, but yeah, very interesting to see that the likes of Fazillo, Smith, etc. have decided to go for the mid-engined Audi. Rear-engine Porsche looks to be what Dylan Newhart has decided to jump into, and that's a very good time that he's already set there. He's only a few tenths off Parker.
Well, I gotta say, it may indeed be a family fortune. If I'm not mistaken, Reese, I think that may be Steve Harvey rocking. Let's see if we can get a closer look here. Oh, yeah.
It is.
That's definitely Steve Harvey.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Dylan there bringing it out. And actually, speaking of paints, let me find him on here as well. Ryan Gleason was saying that he gets his kids, he's got 2 kids and they do half of the paint each. So another one who's mixing up on the paint side. I do wish we had some closer cameras here at Mugello. It's not letting me get in quite as close, but I gotta say, I'm actually quite liking that. It's very colorful, very vibrant, and it's kind of, you know, rebellious but classy at the same time.
Yeah, I love it when people do that. It was actually a competitor in another series that I broadcast who got his daughter to design his livery for him. Basically, just print out the livery TGA and get it a color in. And that's basically the same philosophy that I'm seeing here from Ryan Gleason. I love seeing that, and it actually has turned into quite a nice looking car, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of feeling that. That's actually really, really nice. I do wish we had closer cameras here at Mugello, but I'm absolutely loving the colors. Maybe we can get one on the static cameras here if we get one that just happens to be close enough. Obviously, Mugello, the cameraman a little bit on the shy side here is.
It's quite an expansive circuit, this one. And the the track is largely used for motorcycle racing nowadays. It's been around since the 1970s, really, this place, and it's also used as a test track by Ferrari. So it's got quite a bit of space around the circuit, plenty of space to the walls, so camera positions aren't always the most in your face that they can be, but it gives you a good opportunity to see what kind of speed these guys carry through the corners. And I think this is also going to be a really good test of the new GT3 tires. You know, I took the Mercedes out after the patch. There's Rob Campbell is unfortunately not running a livery that we have penned for him. Neither I nor Zippy had the opportunity to actually make one for him this week. We do apologize, Rob, but we will get you next time. I love the way that the cars feel now. I'm still not the quickest in a GT3 car, but I can definitely feel what I'm doing a bit better, and it feels like I can push things a little further than I used to be able to.
Well, I gotta say, I've heard nothing but good things about the tire model so far, and usually whenever iRacing releases an update, honestly, the community's quite harsh. They absolutely crucify him for it. I mean, generally, it does not go down well, but this is probably the first time I've seen it in terms of such a big update where it has indeed gone down so well, and I'm hearing nothing but good things, but I don't know why we're apologizing to Rob. Realistically, he should be thanking us. But I'm not going to lie, honestly, other than him belching on a broadcast, we didn't really have much dirt on him. So, ladies and gentlemen at home, if you got some dirt on Rob Campbell we want to see put on a paint, give us a message.
Yep. Maybe we should put a Campbell's soup can on the side of the car.
I like it.
Something to that effect. Yeah. All right. We're coming up with some good ideas here. We'll do some more brainstorming after the broadcast. But qualifying is over. It is time for the 45-minute race, and the grid is as follows. Parker Dime managing to qualify on pole position, and he's lost none of his form since the patch. Dylan Newhart, a fantastic performance starting on the front row alongside him, and Rob Campbell up into third with Austin Diltz starting alongside him. Drew Trader going to be P5 with Morgan Smith alongside. Jacob Quayle and Tim Fiedler are your fourth row. And then we have Cayman Lackney and Ryan Gleason rounding out your top 10 with Jacob Hurd and Fozzie Fazillo rounding out the top 12. 3 more cars to go. Matt Murphy, Adam Capps, our league administrator, and Michael Piccinini did not take to qualifying. He didn't set a lap in practice either. I'm wondering if he's actually going to take to the start here. Actually, I just saw him pop in just then. So Michael Piccinini is on his way to the grid. He'll have to straighten out his car, though. He just has. It's almost as if I have a telepathic connection to the number 32.
Attaboy. I gotta say, one thing that is probably one of my biggest surprises I've seen, don't get me wrong, seeing Morgan Smith and Fozzie switch out to the Audi was a little bit of a shock, but Drew Trader has almost abandoned his roots, ladies and gentlemen. He's taken the McLaren. Now, this very proud American,
wow.
not quite the level of Kyle's Bald Eagle Machine Mills, not quite that patriotic, I'd say, but certainly a passionate man, and he's actually switched out of the Corvette. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's won a championship in it here with the Nifty Lip series, but switching out to the McLaren, honestly, quite a shock. The McLaren actually now the most popular car in the field with 4 entries to its tally.
Yeah, that's quite significant. That is literally the first time we've seen Drew Trader outside of a Corvette. So we'll see if that change brings him a change in fortune. He has managed to qualify P5, which is mighty good. So we'll wait and see for now. But the grid timer is done. And we're about to set off on this formation lap, give you guys a bit of a slow motion tour of Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. This is a beautiful circuit, this one. It's a bit polarizing, though, because it can be difficult to pass on, and it really does a number on the tires. It's a very high-load circuit with plenty of high-speed air spins. You can see pretty much every driver in the field is scrubbing the tires on this formation lap. Most of them are wiggling. Look at them all go. That's the most swerving side to side I've seen on a formation lap in a very long time. I wonder if it actually does something.
Myself, I've never been a big fan of such motions. Generally, there's only one car I'll do it, and it actually happens to be the Skippy. But Rob Campbell being the little bit of the anomaly there. Don't get me wrong, he's probably the oldest guy on the grid for sure, but him choosing not to do it. But I do feel, certainly with this being Elite Entertainment, if we're going to have tire scrubbing on the pace lap, I think we're going to have to get Adam Caps to actually gear up some music over the broadcast and have these guys do it in synchronization. I want to see formation occurring here on the Elite Entertainment Series, brought to you with WBM Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Big old thanks to the likes of Elite Entertainment for lending their support to this incredible series. If you want to check out Elite Entertainment, well, they certainly provide a great service. You ready to turn your event into an unforgettable experience? They bring superior quality that keeps the dance floor packed, whether it's a wedding, corporate event, private parties, karaoke, or music bingo at your local venues. Their professional DJs know how to set the perfect vibe. Elite Entertainment covers Western North Carolina and Upstate South Carolina, so book now and let them make your event memorable. Thanks also, of course, to the WBM Racing crew for their support of this series. Of course, coming in and bringing in quite a few new drivers to this field in the last couple of months. And they're also leading the way up the front of the field. Well, we'll find our way through Arrabbiata, which is this double right-hander up to the top of the hill. One of the most difficult sequences on the entire lap. You are carrying as much speed as you can through those corners, and you've got to be careful not to dip it into the grass.
Oh, definitely, and definitely a bit of a shout out for WBM as well. If you want to get some of their merch, it is absolutely fantastic looking stuff. They do have a merch store. It is in the YouTube description. By all means, check it out. Reese, it looks like we've got a couple of corners left to go. Or am I about to see a pit lane entrance here?
No, you are not about to see a pit lane entrance. This is the second last proper corner that they're coming into, this hairpin here. And, well, it's so fast that it barely qualifies as a hairpin. That is the MotoGP long lap that you're seeing around the outside there. Then there's this flat-out S on your way to the final corner, and that is a lap of Mugello. It is tight, it is twisting, it follows the terrain. It's a very entertaining track.
I gotta say, I'm enjoying the scenery in the background, but it looks like these guys are now starting to bunch together a lot closer. You can see the pack starting to close. I got a feeling it's going to be a spicy one. Certainly, tire weaving as well can cause incidents on a pace lap. It looks like I got time to try and get this out. So WBM, family, racing, and attitude in that order. WBM Racing, We Build Memories, is a diverse and tightly bonded crew that share a passion for competitive sim racing. We make space for each other everywhere but on the track and continue to make an impact whenever our cars are on the grid. We support our drivers, personal growth comes first, and it's always best to race with family. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, that is why you want to be part of WBM. It is more of a family than it is a racing team. But Reese, I've got a feeling they are indeed going to put the gloves down. It's about to get spicy here at Mugello.
Parker puts the power down, and it looks like his WBM teammate Austin Diltz follows him through immediately past Dylan Newhart before the start-finish line, but he pulls back. I think he might have received a penalty. No, he did not. He's just pulled back out of it. Rob Campbell into second place as, Austin has pulled right over and pulled off the circuit. That's a bit of a dramatic start there. Yeah, he's been black flagged. He passed before the start-finish line. It's not good there for Austin, and there's been a problem further back. Oh dear, Matt Murphy, Tim Fiedler, and I think Jacob Hurd as well, falling into problems there in the opening turns. So Fiedler ran wide, and then what happened to him here? He lost it by himself, and then, oh dear, had Matt Murphy come in as well as Jacob Hurd there, and I think potentially Morgan Smith also had some troubles there. He's fallen back down to 13th place. A bit of a chaotic start, but as long as they get into their rhythm, they can get this race going very quickly. Yeah, so Morgan Smith was the first on the scene in that crash, and he ended up spinning by himself. Well, Rob Campbell holding off Dylan Newhart, but for how long? Look at the run out of the corner here from Dylan.
Oh, that's juicy.
No! Oh, contact! And Rob Campbell is sent off the circuit at one of the penultimate corners. He gets back going just in time for Jacob Quayle to find his way through. And Cayman Lackney may stand a chance of making a move as well. But for now, Campbell is back up to speed, though get the feeling he might be a little unhappy with proceedings thus far. He's going to get done again here with Lackney up the inside, but Campbell gets on the power. The final corner is one of those places where you can really hold the outside line. Rob just proving that.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine he would have been too keen about that. We'll take a quick look at the replay here. It definitely looked a little bit close for comfort here. Let's go above. You see Dylan makes a move up on the right-hand side. He's there trying to take it on the inside. It looked like a little bit of neck code from what I could see, Reese. It didn't look intentional by any means. It did definitely look close, though.
Yeah, Rob did leave the door open, I will say that, and it allowed Newhart a chance to get up the inside. Maybe Dylan was taking a little bit too much momentum through there, and maybe Campbell turned in a bit too early and didn't give Dylan the space he was entitled to. There's multiple ways you can look at that. I think either way, it might be a racing incident. I've seen a second tow from Michael Piccinini. There's been, dear, that McLaren is not looking good there. Yeah, that's barely drivable, apparently, and Michael immediately pulled it back to the lane. Oh, man. So that was a spin out of turn one, and it looks like that might have been Morgan Smith, potentially, that contacted him.
Yeah, definitely one of the Audis. We can take another quick look if you want, but that seems to be a little bit of a hot spot there. If we go on board here with Morgan Smith, you take a quick look. I got a feeling he's going to come round. He's going to see things go a little bit pear-shaped for his comrade.
No, it wasn't Morgan.
Must have been Fazillo.
Yeah, it must have been Fossey Fazillo. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Oh yeah, you can see that Fazillo is missing his front bumper, so that makes sense on that one.
Oh dear.
Yeah, unfortunate for the both of them. Seems that there's some issues with stability that have been happening there for Michael Piccinini. Oh, here comes the battle then. Adam Capps has decided to jump into the Porsche with the new tyre model, chasing down Cayman Lackney and Jacob Quayle.
Well, at the minute, he's going to be the camera car because it looks like Lackney is trying to make a move up onto Jacob Quayle. Certainly, he's definitely applying the pressure. These guys actually all pretty evenly spaced apart, about 7/10 of a second between each of them. So indeed, these guys, they've got a couple of ways they could play this. They could indeed work together, or they're going to do what I hope they'll do and absolutely fight it out. As you see, a couple of drivers there getting caught with a little bit of cold tires, as it looks like Drew Trader now is going to be under attack from our very own Rob Campbell.
Yep, Campbell, of course, down a couple of places thanks to that contact with Dylan Newhart. The end of the first, or was it second lap? I can't quite remember. Regardless, he is looking to try and make those positions back up. And the speed that he is carrying into these corners really showing that he's gotten the Mercedes tyres fired up very quickly. Problem is, this is going to be a bit of a learning experience for all of these drivers. This is perhaps one of the first times that they've really put these new tyres to the test around a track that is really hard on the tyres. How long will they end up lasting? GT3 tyres traditionally will last about an hour or so without problems, but there's a lot of new issues that you might have to negotiate here with a new tyre model.
It definitely is a learning curve, and I think it really is going to reward those who put the time in. Certainly myself, I'm just going to honestly get in the car and go. You know that's how I generally roll, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly Reese is maybe base farming a little bit at that point, but I've got to say, it looks like there's something happening further back as well. Yeah, it is indeed. Matt Murphy is now going side to side. It is Audi versus Lamborghini, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a Lamborghini out in the field, albeit this one actually in really good shape. The Audi of Pozzi Pasillo certainly having a few battle scars there. We'll get a good view there from Matt Murphy. You can see absolutely incredibly close. Yeah, that is indeed missing a front bumper.
Yes, nice view of the intercooler there. Unfortunate there for Fozzie. That was from that earlier contact with Piccinini. But Matt Murphy making up some good positions there, up 4 places. Drew Trader is up 2, but the hard charger in the field so far is the number 2 of Adam Capps. He is up 7 places, and unfortunately it seems he has lost touch with Jacob Quayle and Cayman Lackney, but he can still be happy with that. Rob Campbell can certainly be happy with that move up the inside of Drew Trader. Very well done indeed. Got the run out of Arrabbiata and fired it up the inside. Yeah, it all came out of the preceding corner there. Clamber over the curbs to make sure the move is complete, and well, there wasn't much Drew Trader could do against that.
Yeah, very much along for the ride. And if you're wondering what that sound is in the background, ladies and gentlemen, that is the audio of the voice chat. I am going to try and mute it for you fellas. Just bear with me 1 second here. I was actually doing a race the other day, and much to my disgruntlement, ladies and gentlemen, I binned it. No surprises there. It happens, but I did get recognized for actually my supreme defensive skills, albeit not my production skills on this occasion.
Oh, we can all excuse a little blip every now and then. Lackney versus Quayle is starting to turn up a bit here. Firing it towards the inside of turn 1 there, as it looks like some minor instability in the Corvette potentially for Jacob Quayle.
Oh.
Can he keep the momentum up? Oh, I don't think his internet can keep any momentum up. Lackney looks like he's keeping his distance there. Turns 2 and 3, and then this airbender turns 4 and 5 are some of the most difficult sequences on this entire circuit. You got to be careful of the anti-cut curbs on the inside. You got to make sure that your car is nice and stable so you can get the most out of them. I still haven't figured out the right way to go through those corners. Let's see how Tim Fiedler and Jacob Hurd do it.
Well, certainly is not on the Princess-approved track list, hence Rob's driving, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly Rob Horry's getting a little bit of the short straw here when it comes to what they're going to drive. But we have McLaren versus McLaren, Hurd versus Fiedler. It's the 007 versus the 77. It is indeed a very equal battle. As I see a little bit of contact there, a little bit of a nudge there. Fiedler definitely applying a little bit of pressure there to the back of Jacob Hurd. Thankfully, the bumper able to stay intact. Can he get any closer as he's hot in pursuit? Look at the closing speed. Huge closing speed. Almost an off track. Can he stick it down on the inside? He's certainly trying. Breeze, is he going to get it done?
Oh, yeah, this is interesting here for Fiedler. Oh, no, I think he might have pushed those rear tires a bit too hard. He's pulled off. He has unfortunately towed back to the pits. That's the end of the race for Tim Fiedler. That's such a shame as we move further up to Morgan Smith and Matt Murphy. Murphy goes very wide in the final corner to let Smith through. Ah, man. That's not the way I wanted to lose Tim Fiedler. He's been one of the long-time supporters of this championship, this sort of group of drivers. And, yeah, it just seems like he was showing a bit of pace, and then unfortunately his car just gave up on him.
Well, it looks like we got Austin Dilts in the chat who was saying, Dylan with a little George Russell start with the eyeballs. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that. Certainly, I've heard that the Canadian Grand Prix was indeed a little spicy here, but I've not actually watched it, ladies and gentlemen. It's fair to say I've been a little bit too busy and had better things to do. We'll put it like that. Like produce shows like this, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, we do indeed have a good load of fun here on Pit Road Productions. And actually, we're going to give a little bit of shout out to ourselves, of all people. If you want to see us commentate in real life, we're actually going to be at Atlantic Motorsport Park this weekend. We got the Super Production Challenge, we got the Sentra Cup, we got Quebec Vintage, and we do have our very own local track series as well. I'm going to be there on campus commentating the whole thing with a gentleman who actually comes to the series as well. Not quite sure what his name was off the top of my head, but there's going to be two of us there, one in English, Queen's English, and one in French. So certainly, if you want to come on down, we would absolutely love to see you there. Tickets, I believe, are $30 Canadian. Be great to see you there. Two hugely packed weekends, and actually the biggest event at AMP since 1985.
Wow, that's massive.
Yeah, do you over here, Reese?
Yeah. Well, if I could find a spare few grand, I'd probably make my way over to Canada at some point. I do legitimately want to visit Canada. I've wanted to for years, but we'll see what we can do in regards to that in the coming years. Maybe I'll have to start saving. Regardless, we'll find our way through to Parker Dime, who's absolutely dominating right now. He's out to a lead of over 3 seconds. Dylan Newhard, though, recently responding to that pace. He has just taken the fastest lap of the race.
Well, actually, let's take a quick look at the lap history here, see if we can get a little bit of comparison. As you can see right now, pretty balanced between himself and Rob. They're kind of matching pace if I go and average that out. Let me see. Down 4 temps, cancels out with about another 4 temps. Yeah. There really isn't that much in it. If anything, Campbell's slightly further behind. What about Dime, though? Let's do a quick comparison. And, yeah, it looks like Newhard is indeed catching up. I see, generally the majority is green by about 3 temps, but I'd say Newhard actually maybe fell back a little bit. Something must have happened on lap 3. Dropped a second and a half, but certainly in the last 2 laps, he has indeed been quicker. Can Dime hold on? But saying that, we're only 12 minutes into this 45-minute race.
Yeah, it's only been 12 minutes, man. There's been a lot going on in this event thus far. Well, we shall see what comes to pass in the next few minutes, because we're starting to reach that point where some drivers may be thinking of taking an early pit stop. Remember, there is a fuel tank restriction in this series, and you do need to pit for fuel at some point. Most drivers will try their best to get to about the halfway point before they need to stop for fuel, and there will be a few who hold on just a little bit longer. I apparently was abnormally early on my pit stop for Long Beach last week, but apparently I had enough fuel to get to the end, so fortunate for me there. But for these drivers, there's a lot of on-throttle time at Mugello. It's a fast circuit. There's a lot of power sections, so I think the fuel burn's going to be a bit higher than it was at Long Beach.
Yeah, certainly, and the callback has been notoriously unstable. Don't get me wrong, some people love it, but a fair few of them have had a really hard time keeping that back end in check. It's like they got Beyonce over that rear axle. But we can see here, Sector 1, it does look like Lackney is indeed a little bit slower. I say that, he's just gone quicker. He's catching up to Quayle there. Is he going to be able to capitalize on that? The gap, I've been keeping an eye on it. It's been about 7 to 9 temps for the last lap or so. Now down to 6 temps. It does look like Lackney may be able to fight back.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do here. This is a very interesting battle. You know, they started to fall apart just a little bit, but it's a combination of potentially lack of pace from Quayle, definitely some better pace from Lackney. I mean, Lackney's last lap was his fastest of the entire race so far. So I think that tells the story there. Cayman Lackney starting to find some pace here in the sort of mid-phase of the stint once the tyres get warmed up. Of course, with these new tyres comes the caveat that you're going to have to give them a few laps to really come up to temperature. Our leaders have only just come around to start lap 9, so I think that these tyres are now in their prime phase, and that's where Cayman Lackney is starting to shine.
Yeah, he certainly managed to get that gap closer. It's now down to 0.3 of a second, ladies and gentlemen. I do wonder if we're going to be seeing a move very, very shortly as we are here riding on board in the McLaren, the number 13 machine. In theory, Quayle should have him absolutely dead to... dead dinner, I guess. I can't think of what the actual phrase was I'm looking for, but it's close enough, ladies and gentlemen. But dead to rights, there you go. That's the one I was thinking of. Certainly, for some reason, Pirates of the Caribbean popped in my head at an inexplicable moment. But you see Cameron Lackney there looking to try and make his move. He's currently about 0.4 back now as he's going through the S's. The Corvette being a little bit scared of that inside curbing by the look of them. And the McLaren able to take a little bit more. But I'm keeping an eye on the back end of that Corvette. Reese, it does look incredibly unstable from this view. It does appear that my colleague has indeed gone quiet, ladies and gentlemen, as...
And I'm back.
There you go. Welcome back, Reese.
Yes, unfortunately, had to just run and get something, so we will find our way back to the racing action here. This is quite the fight that's going on between Cayman Lackney and Jacob Quayle. A battle starting to emerge and actually has been decided between Morgan Smith and Ryan Gleason as well. Looks like Gleason a little bit slow through the last couple of corners. What happened to the Audi? Oh, I think he might have been trying to clear a slowdown there.
Yeah, that definitely did not look like there was much of a fight in there, as we are indeed going to return back to the battle going on, as it looks like Quayle are going side by side. McLaren versus Corvette going through the final corner, and it's going to be a drag race down into turn 1.
Oh. Yeah, Jacob Quayle with the outside line, getting the straighter and faster exit, but Cayman Lackney might see a chance here at turn 1. You've got to get in the slipstream into the first corner, but Quayle is positioning his car perfectly there, right in the middle of the road. It's difficult to make the inside line work at turn 1. By the same token, if you try around the outside, you can usually get alongside for turn 2. Well, Quayle putting his car right in the middle of the road there.
Oh. Sorry.
Oh dear. Oh, that was a bit of a clatter there of the anti-cut speed bump there for Cayman Lackney. Gonna have to be careful of that. Mugello has that all the way through its chicanes, so you need to be careful. Seems like Lackney having a better run into Arrabbiata than Jacob Quayle, though. Seems like both drivers are weak and strong in different places here.
I do wonder if the cameras just get into him here. A little bit of pressure. I know some people do indeed listen to the broadcast while they... I'm sorry, Reese, I've got distracted here. Magoo, what a comment. I don't know, Reese. Can you see the chat we're getting here? The comments.
I don't have the chat up at the moment.
Okay.
No.
I'll read this one out for you. This is from Magoo. Certainly, the first time I've seen him chatting here, but it couldn't be more on point. So first up, we had tell Trader to pick it up. He's sucking wind. Fair play. I'll take some banner. Next we take. I see after Rob's last week's mic mishap, he was given the week off. Good call. This gentleman must know you or something. He sounds like somebody who would, who's been around you for a while. But we are indeed going to return to the battle because it looks like Morgan Smith is indeed looking for a new verdict, a new victim. This time it's his friend and rival, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Capps.
Yeah, well, here we go then. Morgan Smith and Adam Capps together into turn 1. Adam running a little bit wide there in the first part of turn 1 in the Porsche. You'll see the difference in lines here through turns 2 and 3. See how Morgan Smith made it a bit of a wider run into turn 3. And as a result, Adam Capps dropping that wheel into the gravel. The Audi seems strong in this midsection of the circuit. The longer corners might help the Porsche out though, so Capps might have a chance to respond here coming into Arrabbiata. Oh, he's a bit wide, though. And that's going to be a big problem there. As Smith will try around the outside. And Adam Caps, I think, just letting it go there. It seemed like he lifted off into the corner.
Yeah, Morgan had an absolutely massive overspeed there, but we are indeed going to keep an eye on several battles. And actually, can Caps fight back? So you look a little bit further back, Ryan Gleason's starting to show a little bit of a nose there. I do wonder how Caps is indeed adapting to the Porsche. Certainly, whenever I've driven it, you do indeed have to be so late on the brakes to get the most out of that car. It doesn't really suit my driving style, but it does suit Rob. Certainly, he was not a big fan of us choosing the AMG. As Morgan quite cheeky on the cut there, and I do wonder if he's going to actually pick up a slowdown from that. We'll go on board with him. See if he, let's see if he seems like he's coasting a little bit here, Reese.
Yeah, I get the feeling. I mean, you can certainly get a slowdown if you push it too hard on the exit of some of the chicanes with the extra tarmac on the exit of the corners. I don't think you can get a slowdown there, though. Potentially, he was just letting the tires get cleaned off. Obviously, that's another thing that you sometimes have to think about when a new tire gets onto these cars. Sometimes the way that debris picks up gets changed as well. Here's Lackney once again fighting with Jacob Quayle. This will be a massive battle if they can keep it up here. Through the kink, and then through the left-hand sweeper, and then the double right of Arrabbiata. Looks like, once again, every time we see the Corvette from the nose cam of the McLaren, it seems like Quayle is looking a bit twitchy.
Yeah, I've been making a similar observation recently. We got it on screen now. It just looks on corner exit. It's almost like it's trying to have a hard time to put the power down. A little bit of a wiggle there, very slight. Not one of the biggest ones, but certainly we haven't even keeping an eye on it. This is a perfect view for it. But so far, Lackney, he's been able to stay with Quayle, but not really been able to apply any more pressure there. Certainly putting his nose in every now and again, but it looks like Gleason has indeed caught up with Adam Caps. To see this is another battle emerging. Caps certainly maybe not adapting to the Porsche quite as well as he hoped, albeit he is indeed the hard charger and up currently 6 positions.
Formerly 7, before Morgan Smith blasted past him, but still has the most positions gained in the field. And even if Ryan Gleason passes him here, Caps will still be the hard charger with 5 positions gained. So he's in a pretty good spot right now, I have to say.
Yeah, very much so. As I say that, Gleason is one of the first to go down pit lane, ladies and gentlemen.
And Cayman Lackney having another go at Jacob Quayle through turn 1. Didn't get it worked. English. Didn't get it done that time. But there was quite the fight. He was on the racing line, trying to take the outside into the first corner here. More speed on the way through, but once you start getting that mid-phase exit of turn 1, the inside line starts winning out again. So that's the issue that Lackney's going to have to somehow overcome here if he wants to pass Jacob Quayle for that last position in the top 5. 2 more cars coming into the lane behind Ryan Gleason. Matt Murphy also in, with Jacob Hurd finding his way in. And we're looking at pit stops of around about 13 seconds or so for Gleason and for Murphy. How much will it be for Hurd is the question.
Well, currently he's hiding behind the pit wall, and he's actually shorter than both of those. I got 12.28 seconds on my end, so maybe be able to save a little bit of fuel there. We'll have to keep an eye, but the battle is indeed the hottest one on the track, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed between these 2 gentlemen of Jacob Quayle and Cameron Lackney.
Yeah, this is a good one. I'm looking forward to seeing how this battle's going to work out between these guys. It might come down to the pit stops, because they are definitely having a right go of it here on track, but it could be an easier pass for Lackney if he undercuts, potentially. Well, we'll see as he picks up the slipstream, and they come up to turn 1. He gets closer and closer. Slipstream very strong there at the end of the front straight, but no opportunity given by the number 9 Corvette of Quayle. How do they go through turns 2 and 3? Just seeing those minor differences in speed through the corners here, it just highlights how important it is for mid-corner speed here at Mugello.
Absolutely, and certainly we're seeing a great defensive game being done so far by the number 9 of Jacob Quayle. Certainly he's had to. Realistically, Cameron Lackney has been riding that rear wing through a good portion of this race. Now, if he doesn't get the pass done on track, he's certainly going to get it done in the pits right now. He has really got an opportunity to save quite a good helping of fuel here behind the back of that Chevrolet Corvette.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't really think about until right now, is the potential for fuel saving here at Mugello. Obviously, it has a very long front straight, so if you get in the slipstream, you can certainly lift and coast a massive amount into turn 1, but there's a lot of high-speed corners here as well you can just lift through, and that can help you save a bit more as well. A bit wide there for Jacob Quayle. But it looks like Lackney is not quite making the gains that he could from that potential minor mistake there from Quayle. Not sure if it was a mistake. There are multiple lines possible through that section. Are either of these guys gearing up for a pit stop? The pace is starting to come back to the front runners, with Parker Dime being the quickest of the field on the previous lap, and it seems like Quayle and Lackney are staying out for another lap here. So Gleason, Murphy, and Hurd are going to be ones to watch here, see if that early pit stop works out for them.
Well, speaking of which, it looks like we have a little bit of a battle emerge here. So I've just realised I've hit the wrong damn button again. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. As Dylan Newhart is now going to be under attack, or at least Steve Harvey is going to be under attack from our very own Rob Campbell.
Yep, just as we were talking about that, Campbell dipped a wheel into the gravel on the exit of the corner, so it looks like he's lost a tiny bit more time. But there's not much between these two at the moment. Campbell certainly looking to make up for that incident earlier on in the race, where Newhart went up the inside of him at the upcoming hairpin and nearly fully turned him around. So 2 big battles happening at the moment on the circuit. Still got Cayman Lackney and Jacob Quayle going at it through Arrabbiata. Lots of curb usage there from the Corvette, keeping the McLaren at bay.
Certainly, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. And for a second there, the gap got down to just 0.2 of a second. That's why it's so quick to flick round to it. But it looks like Dylan Newhart's starting to trying to pull away a little bit now from Rob Campbell. It is indeed the Porsche versus the Mercedes. It's like the ballerina versus the bulldozer. And certainly, it's pretty clear to see which one is which. The Porsche being a lot more nimble there as Parker Dime makes his way down pit road.
Well, there we go. Our former race leader. Now, the first of the front runners to come into the pit lane. And we should expect a pit stop round about the same as what we've seen from the drivers that have pitted so far, about 12 to 13 seconds. Cayman Lackney also follows him in there. So we have a very interesting sort of split strategy between Jacob Quayle and Cayman Lackney. Dime's pit stop was actually the longest we've seen so far, 15.3 seconds. I mean, he was all the way up the front and he was driving flat out, so it makes sense that he'd have to put a bit more fuel in.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, he's got a little bit of free air that he can indeed do that. So that puts Dylan Newhart at the front of the pack. But I say that, Rob Campbell, he's managed to close up the gap right behind him. 0.4 of a second, ladies and gentlemen, almost 0.5. Can he shift that AMG onto the top step of the podium? Definitely both of these drivers yet to make a pit. Parker Dime, their highest ranked driver, currently in P6 of all the drivers that have pit so far. Actually, a good portion currently pit. But actually, look, the top 5 and P7 currently yet to make a pit stop.
Yeah, so a bit more to work out between all these guys. They're going to have 10 laps to go when they cross the line next. And the question is, what do you do if you're Rob Campbell or Dylan Newhart? You probably want to pit on a different lap to the driver you're battling with. And I think Campbell's going to be looking at Newhart here to see if he pulls into the pits, and if he does, then he's actually going to join him. I might have stayed out, see if I could get a lap and some clear air. And yeah, pit entry at Mugello is a rather difficult one, to say the least. There was one broadcast race that I did here last year where almost every driver in the field got a speeding in pits penalty because it was so difficult for them to slow down.
Well, that definitely makes me feel a little better. But indeed, the top 4 right now are indeed all in the pits. Drew Trader, he's taken to the pits as well. Jacob Quayle, Morgan Smith, all of these guys have taken to the pits. So it looks like Parker Dime is getting ready to regain that lead, ladies and gentlemen, for WBM. Again, we build memories as he's there. He's back, riding on the top step in P1.
And Dylan Newhart and Rob Campbell are inside each other, coming out of the pit lane.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
this
dear.
is going to be a massive, massive outbraking maneuver. Oh, Campbell gets the inside for turn 1, and he's taken the position from Newhart.
Well, we know what we can put on the paint. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Campbell has indeed been inside Steve Harvey. The price is wrong. we gotta start watching Family Fortunes on repeat now just to try and figure some stuff. Okay, how many people had a room full of 100 people? How many went in Rob Campbell?
I think you were mixing a few game shows there. Family Fortunes. Yeah, interesting. Oh, hang on. The price is the price wheel of family or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Family Feud.
Yeah. Family Feud is the correct one. But well, regardless of what show Steve Harvey hosts, he is currently behind Rob Campbell. So. We'll see if Dylan Newhart can try and pull off a move like he did on lap 2, but maybe with a little bit more space between himself and Rob Campbell this time.
Well, speaking of which, we got another comment come in. Bug Blinder, was Rob inside Dylan or was Dylan inside Rob? Dylan's quite young. This could go very, very dark. We should probably change the subject. But,
yeah, let's not.
We'll leave that one up for audience interpretation. But certainly, we'll
that
actually
like a hot coal.
We'll rephrase it. Steve Harvey was indeed the guilty one, Your Honor.
Yeah.
If he watches this and gives a stick for it, I'm just going to be happy he watched it.
Yeah. There's the headlight flash from Dylan Newhart to let Rob Campbell know he is still there, and he's going to pressure him for second place all the way to the end of this race. 8 laps remain in this race, judging by the time left, just under 14 minutes to go.
Well, it looks like we got a confessor. Richard Swindles, haha, I cracked myself up with my other account. Richard, why don't you come on in the booth and have some fun with us, buddy? By all means, I'll be quiet. You can have some fun with Reese roasting Rob, if you would so like the opportunity.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, they're back at it.
Still on here between Quayle and Lackney, yeah. And actually, it was very close on pit stops with Quayle and Lackney. Lackney was 0.3 of a second faster in the box, but only 1/10 faster through the entire lane versus Jacob Quayle. So it seems that Jacob had a slightly worse run in and out of his pit box. Don't know what you can glean from that little bit of information, but it means that they're basically equal once again. This is one of the toughest battles that we've seen on the racetrack this whole race. Is there anything that McLaren can do here? As that's very deep, actually, for Lackney. Almost cleaned up the rear end of Jacob Quayle's Corvette. And he'll have to find some way to make that time back up.
Yeah, as I say that, it looks like Rob Campbell is under attack from Steve Harvey again. I'm sorry, Dylan, we're going to have to phrase it like that indeed for the rest of the show. Can it be an AMG versus Porsche? It's a battle for second. Parker Dimes checked out. He's 9 seconds ahead, and we still got about 12.5 minutes left to go. Rob Campbell versus Steve Harvey. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see it here first.
Yeah. Oh, look at that apex there from Newhart. Man, he is absolutely ragging it out of turn 1, and that's where the Porsche is generally good. He's managing to get those corner exits done very nicely. Obviously, the engine is slung over the rear axle in the Porsche 911, so there's more weight on the rear under acceleration. It means a lot of traction, and coming out of these long flowing corners, that's what you want.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the paint, Reese. I mean, if you can see on the production feed, all you can see is Steve Harvey looking very pleased with himself. It's almost a shame that they put the corner numbers there. As both of these guys, not Steve Harvey, having a little bit of David Hasselhoff there and taking to the stand. But it looks like Dylan Newhart trying to keep the pressure there on Campbell about 3 seconds back. 3/10 of a second back.
If it was 3 seconds back, we probably wouldn't be talking about this battle. But regardless, that was a very aggressive entry into... Oh, man, there's a lot of aggressive entries happening, actually, for Dylan Newhart here. He is standing on those front-end tires to get this thing turned in. Of course, the Porsche acts like a bit of a pendulum on the rear if you slide it around a bit too much. The Mercedes, a little bit more balanced, being a sort of front mid-engine machine. So the center of gravity is more towards the middle of the car, but sometimes that can hurt you depending on the circuit. That's why we love GT3 so much. It's a whole variety of different cars with slightly different configurations, and they all manage to race very closely. Here comes the McLaren of Cayman Lackney. Defensive from Jacob Quayle coming into the final corner, very deep for the McLaren of Lackney, and he's stuck on the outside there, had to carry the brakes a little bit too much through the corner, and he has to yield once again. Well, slipstream time. See if Lackney can get up the inside here. This will be a massive, massive move if he can pull this off.
He's certainly been adamant on trying, as he's yet again having to take the outside, but can he make it stick? He almost wants to do a bit of an over-under there, and the Corvette is just getting in the way. As I say that, he looks to try and make a move, playing that outside line, but I've got to say, excellent defending there from the number 9 Corvette. Fantastic stuff.
Oh, no! Off into the gravel he goes. And that's going to be the move done, finally, for Cayman Lackney. And all it took was a little mistake there from Quayle, a little trip through the gravel, and the battle looks to be done.
Definitely a little bit of a shame there. I do wonder if Quayle can indeed fight back. He'd been holding on. I gotta say, he held on for most of that race, but certainly it looks like Rob Campbell's gonna have to hold on, with Steve Harvey very rapidly approaching him in the rear of his mirror.
Yeah, this is a very close one indeed. And Campbell a little bit wider on the way into the final corner. It's the better line through the turn. But here comes Steve Harvey in the slipstream. And Rob Campbell will be watching with bated breath at his rearview mirror there. It looks like it's stalled out a little bit there for Dylan Newhart. So the battle is going to continue on for another lap here, under 9 minutes to go in the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series here at Mugello. And it looks like Campbell might have slightly missed the apex there of turn 2, and he's a bit offline through the second part of that S-bend, and that's given Newhart a little bit of an advantage in this midsection of the lap.
Yeah, certainly. It looks like Newhart's definitely a little bit more aggressive on the curbing, as well as that gap is, we're saying, very constant as well, around 3 tenths, 4 tenths per second. Certainly the wing mirror, rear view mirror will indeed be very occupied indeed of Steve Harvey. Certainly, definitely not what you're used to seeing when you're out there on a racetrack, but could be a little bit of a distraction there. We see a little bit of a wobble from the AMG, driven by the number 93 driver of Rob Campbell. I think some good stuff there.
Curb.
Oh yeah, a lot of curb.
Much curbage being used here at Mugello. It's wide and flat, the curbing around here. Of course, Mugello does host car racing, but it is more famous as a motorcycle circuit. So it's got the requisite flat curbs and big runoff with plenty of gravel. There's barely any tarmac runoff to speak of around here. Looks like Campbell actually having a very good second half of the lap there. I think Newhart might have pushed the tyres a little bit too hard there.
Yeah, let's take a quick look actually at the lap time history here. We're getting a bit more into this today. So you can see here, green, orange, green, orange, green, orange. As I say that, it's just switched out again as they cross the start-finish line. You can see they're realistically bouncing back between each other. There really isn't that much in it. What about sectors, though? Let's keep a quick eye on that as we go through on, well, we're getting near the end of it. Certainly lap 22 now of a 45-minute race. You can see here, Sector 1 so far, it looks like Campbell is indeed quicker, albeit very slightly, but Newhart, actually I say that, Newhart was quicker, my apologies there. Can't read my own graphics, but it looks like indeed Newhart is definitely struggling a little bit in Sectors 2 and 3. As I say that, Sector 1, it appears Campbell is indeed managing to pull away. He's got that gap up to a second now.
Yeah, it seems like the tyres have given up for Dylan Newhart in his Porsche. So that's unfortunate for him. With only 6 minutes remaining in the race, it's the worst time to be falling off the back of the car in front. But Newhart has been driving aggressively all race long, so might just be a little bit too much for him there. This is the only real battle on track at the moment, and well, we'll see if anything can change in this fight. In terms of gaps, it seems that potentially Cayman Lackney, Jacob Quayle, and Morgan Smith might be coming together at some point. Morgan Smith starting to catch up to Mr. Quayle there. And Smith, we've been looking for a little bit more from over the course of this race. This might be his opportunity to get back into the position he started the race in.
Yeah, certainly did indeed get caught up earlier on, and now he's got that gap down under a second, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly some interesting stuff indeed. I do wonder if I'm reading that wrong. It must be, yeah, it must be Campbell and Newhart there. Certainly 6 7 tenths per second. But now it's going to be Quayle's turn, and we know that this man can defend, but this time he has a different opponent. It is a WBM leader, the number 58, in the freshly painted Audi of Morgan Smith.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the interesting one here, as we find our way through to turn one. And Morgan Smith is certainly looking quick here in the first part of the lap. Into the second corner they come, and he's using that sort of tighter line there versus Jacob Quayle. Gently does it on your way through to turn three. And once again, yeah, it just looks like Jacob Quayle is struggling a little bit with this S-bend section here at the start of the lap. It's very easy to get understeer induced and have it be a little snappy on your way into a few of these corners. So, gently does it. There's that Reese Gardner checkbox done. A little bit of gravel once again from the Corvette there. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before Morgan Smith is right on the back of Jacob Quayle. So, find our way through the more than 180-degree hairpin. That's a good exit there from Smith. He's going to be right on the back of Quayle now through this flat-out S-bend. It's going to have to be defensive here from the Corvette. He's just positioning his car just a little bit off the racing line, not allowing Smith a way through. But there's a little bit of a snap on his way through the final corner. They are really seeing the McLaren ahead there of Cayman Lackney pull away. And here comes the move for Morgan Smith. Can the outside line work for the Audi at turn one? Hard on the brakes. And he almost gets the nose ahead at the apex side by side. And the inside wins again on the exit. But Smith manages to get it up the inside at turn two. Has to give room on the power. Cross the curb. And it looks like Smith might have just done it.
Absolutely incredible battle. If you're wondering, hopefully you guys can't see it on the screen here, but we are indeed trying something here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to give you some picture-in-picture action. Not quite got the hang of it, but certainly giving it our best effort. A new feature here, and I think we'll play around with that a little bit later, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly we're going to try and maybe do that just after the race here. Certainly an interesting one indeed, but let's catch back up here with Rob Campbell and Dylan Newhart, because it looks like the battle may indeed be continuing to develop.
Yes, more happening here between Rob Campbell and Dylan Newhart. The laps starting to fall back in the favour of Mr. Newhart here. 2 tenths faster than Campbell on the previous lap. And it seems that it's just about the final lap here between these guys. Parker Dime a long way ahead. As you can see, there's my view of the fight between Mr. Smith and Mr. Quayle. Looks like Morgan Smith leaving him behind at the moment. Is there anything that Smith will be able to do to catch up to Cayman Lackney on this last lap? Doesn't look like there's going to be too much of a chance of that. But we'll keep our eye on Campbell and Newhart for now here as the last lap begins for Morgan Smith on my end. Parker Dime out to an 11-second lead over Rob Campbell and Dylan Newhart. This is just an incredible sequence of events here for Parker Dime. He's been perhaps the most consistent driver of the entire season. And, I mean, consistently up the front, leading the championship coming into this round. He seems unstoppable in this WBM Mustang. 30 seconds remain on the timer here. And it actually looks like we may or may not be going for an extra lap here. There's still 20 seconds remaining. And is Barney waving the white flag there on the flag stand? We'll see it come up here. Yeah, looks like I might have seen a couple of white pixels up there. Yeah, we do have another lap.
Well, certainly is indeed going to be a close one, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, we're going to return to the battle between Dylan Newhart and Rob Campbell. If we think he's maybe cooked the tyres, but we're going to find out if he's going to make that move. He's going to have to do it quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly 6/10 of a second in it, as I believe something's happened with Jacob Hurd.
Oh, yeah. Losing a bit of time there in the 007. Coming through turn 1, turns it in and gets on the power. And oh dear. Little bit of a slide, traction control kicks in, and around he goes. Something may have happened to Morgan Smith as well. Morgan Smith is just towed. What's going on here for Morgan?
Oh, he's bailed. I wonder if he ran out of juice.
I don't think he was anticipating that the race would go for that extra lap. Well, yeah, it's hard to tell, really, from that point. But well, we'll see if anyone else falls victim to potential lack of fuel. Parker Dime, though, one more corner to go. It has been a fantastic performance from the number 57. He has been unstoppable all race long, led from practically start to finish. Out of the final corner he comes, and he's going to extend his championship lead with another victory here in round 3 of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series. Parker Dime is your winner.
Yeah, definitely a well-deserved win there, as we're going to return to currently the person in second place, Mr. Rob Campbell. Now, certainly, don't get me wrong, I don't wonder if he could have contended for the lead earlier on, getting caught up with that incident with Dylan Newhart, but I've got to say, what a fantastic battle he did indeed have in the closing stage of that race. Dylan Newhart flashing those, giving a little bit of razzle-dazzle there to Rob Campbell. Certainly, as much as we don't want to give him credit, the highest placed pit road productions driver we've had so far.
Yeah, indeed. If I hadn't royally messed up Long Beach, maybe I could have been the highest placed. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Drew Trader having a consistent race, coming home in 4th place in his new ride, the McLaren. That's a very good run there from the champion of the Nifty Lift Series. Cayman Lackney coming home just behind him there. Jacob Quayle and Matt Murphy rounding out your top 7, the last drivers to finish on the lead lap. It was a massive race of attrition here. Over half the field not making it to the end of the race.
You're definitely a little bit surprised to see what happened to Morgan Smith, maybe getting a little bit close there on the fuel. As I say that, oh dear.
Looks like Jacob Hurd has also fallen victim to lack of fuel here.
He has at least hit the checkered. Oh, actually, let's go back. That's good. Parker's going to give him a little bit of a run. I love that.
Little pushy push on the way to the line. Good to see.
Well,
looks like that's all the results. That is certainly teamwork indeed. That's the race run and done. And as we see our winner pushing Jacob Hurd to the pits. These are your results. Parker Dime, 11.5 seconds the gap back to Rob Campbell, with Dylan Newhard rounding out your podium. Trader and Lackney are your top 5, with Jacob Quayle coming home in 6th ahead of Matt Murphy, the last to finish on the lead lap. Hurd and Gleeson a lap down each, 2 laps down for Morgan Smith, unfortunately towing on the final lap, with Adam Capps retiring. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Capps there. I think we might have missed his retirement. For Zillow, we saw him have some big trouble in his Audi. Tim Fiedler also towing. Michael Piccinini and Austin Diltz not making it to the finish either. Diltz with a black flag right at the very start of the race because he got on the power just a little bit too early. It's time then for driver interviews, and it looks like the first of them to come in is going to be Dylan Newhard in P3. Steve Harvey on the podium. Dylan, you must be happy with that.
Yeah, it was a great race, I'd say, especially for a difficult track here at Mugello. Rob definitely made me push at the end there. Ended up with 19 out of 20 incidents, so I had to back outside and get that drive through.
Yeah, very easy to get off tracks at this circuit. Those wide, flat curbs and the tarmacs that are lining the edges of the racetrack. It's very difficult to be consistent around here. It's very hard on the tires as well.
Yeah, my tires started to give up out there at the end. My lap times dropped like a rock compared to the beginning for my 45.1 on my 6th lap, and ended up running like 46.6s, 46.5s towards the end there behind Rob. So my tires are really feeling it. Overheated them a little bit, but overall it was a pretty solid race, I'd say.
How do you feel about the new tires for the GT3s? How do they end up comparing to what it was before the new season build?
I think it definitely makes them a lot more interesting to drive. I found the GT3s to be a bit on the more boring side of the cars to drive on iRacing rather than like Miatas or the M2s. But I really have been enjoying them. The cars feel a lot more alive, and it's a lot more to pay attention to with the temperatures and not overheating them, getting them into the right window for qualifying and such.
Well, we'll see how things go throughout the rest of the season here as we all get used to these new tires. Dylan, podium and your first time out on the new rubber. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I don't thank you guys for setting up these broadcasts. Makes it a lot of fun to go back and watch the races afterwards, and everyone that helps put on the league. You know, it's a lot of fun. Makes my Monday nights interesting, that's for sure.
Certainly makes my Tuesday mornings interesting as well. Thanks for joining us, Dylan.
You have a good one.
Dylan Newhard there in the 125. And next up is our race winner, Parker Dime. Zippy, I understand you've had a chance to catch up to him.
Well, he is indeed an unstoppable machine, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Mr. Parker Dime. Despite being a new father, or at least him or Austin Diltz, I can't remember. Certainly the wall has indeed been pulled over my eyes. But Parker, certainly yourself, very seasoned, very experienced in the GT3s. How are you finding this new time model so far, and did it have a good impact on your race victory today?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, the only really change to the Mustang, at least, is it's super understeer the first couple laps, but as long as you're backing off your brake point and easing in, it was pretty manageable. Other than that, I mean, I don't know how far I can get with a set of tires, but I mean, for the 45-minute race, they felt pretty good.
That's certainly indeed a very, very potent drive indeed, pulling away an absolutely massive gap. Rob Campbell, you really dropped the ball on that one. We'll roast you in a minute. But Parker, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out for today's success?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for the broadcast, my wife for letting me do this, my parents for watching, and Prime Motoring for letting us run their colors.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, a huge shout out there from Parker Dime. Thank you very much. And indeed, we look forward to seeing you next week at Laguna Seca.
All right, take it easy.
Great stuff from Parker Dime, extending his championship lead. Rob Campbell, on the other hand, extended the limits of the racetrack when Dylan Newhard turned him early on. But still, Rob, you managed to get second place.
Yeah, I had a look at it after with some net code. I thought I closed Dylan off enough, but I left a bit of space in there, so well done on him. But iRacing net code strikes again, so that's about all I could get out of the Mercedes. It's not a Mercedes-friendly track. The front tires were screaming. I look at them after the race. I was down to about 65% left on the tires, so I used up pretty much all it had in that race.
Yeah, that's quite the aggressive wear that we see on those tires. Well, I've heard sort of whisperings from the forums and stuff like that of people who have tried these new cars. Really, the sort of tire update for these GT3s, and you sort of have to really rag them to get the best out of the tires, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's now a race where you can really kind of throw it into the corner and it'll slide a little bit, but it just doesn't break loose like it used to before. Once you got to the edge of grip, where you would just kind of lose the back end, right? So you can really push the cars a little more now, but you can still go past the limit and lose the back end, especially on the first couple laps with cold tires. But it is more reminiscent to a lot of the other sims now, where they all kind of feel somewhat similar. And I guess from what I've read, based on a couple of real life GT3 drivers, it's much more similar to real life driving now. But I think the cars are a little quicker than they should be right now, because I had a look back at the broadcast that we did for a league here earlier in the season, and they were running 47s, mid 47s as the fast laps, so about a second and a half, almost 2 seconds quicker here now. So it'd be interesting to see if they update the downforce on the cars again.
Absolutely. Well, Zippy, I've run out of things to roast him for. Do you have anything? I know we can certainly roast ourselves for not getting a livery together for him in time.
If anything, I think he should thank us for that. But certainly, Rob Campbell, he did a very valiant effort. Certainly the highest placed pit road productions driver, albeit I think that was maybe fear of having Steve Harvey. How did it feel having him inside you as you left pit lane?
I think I was inside him, though, wasn't I, Zippy? I entered him from the rear, if I remember correctly.
We're classy here, ladies and gentlemen. Classy here. Certainly, we've got to get a bit more dirt on Robbins. Don't get me wrong, he seems to keep providing, and we actually got a shout out for your belch in the YouTube chat. So certainly you have indeed made memories, ladies and gentlemen. But Rob, actually, Reese, Rob, we've got you here. We can see Richard Swindells is lurking around as well. Laguna Seca next week. Certainly one of the tracks that's been around iRacing a bit longer. Question is, who are we going to put in the car? Now, I know it's one of my Princess approved track, but I'm starting to wonder if we should put Richard Swindells in, if he can hear us. Rich, come on in. Like, it should be fixed. You should be able to get into the booth now. Come join the chat.
Whoever wants to drive it is up to them. I have a little fanfare for Laguna Seca. It's not one of my favorite tracks. I never seem to do well there. The corkscrew is my nemesis. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I mean, for a track that's so highly regarded, Laguna Seca is one of my least favorite tracks. It's very difficult to actually get the car rotated through those corners, and it looks like we won't be getting Richard Swindells in here. But well, I guess we'll sort that out here in the Pit Road Productions booth to see who's going to be driving that Merc next time. But we can't take anything away, Zippy, from the fantastic drive that Parker Dime put here in the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series. Dylan Newhart getting on the podium as well. Standard of competition still incredibly high in this series, and it seems that Parker has lost none of his momentum on the new tires.
Absolutely, and certainly it looks like Richard Swindells may indeed be volunteering. He says he loves Laguna, hates the Merc. Well, I don't really give a damn if he hates the car. That's what we got. We wanted to take a bit of variety, so we will have to save that surprise. And certainly the biggest reason we want to get Richard in the car, ladies and gentlemen, we want to do a paint for him. Indeed, if you have any suggestions, by all means, let us know. We've had Steve Harvey and Dylan Newhart's car. We've got Ryan Gleason having his kids actually do a really good job of his paint. It's actually one of the nicer kid-made paints I've seen. It was actually quite a high standard, actually. I was very impressed with it. I enjoyed it. But we're going to have to, guess, leave these guys to it. Reese, do the honors, sir.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching the third round of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series here from Mugello. Can anyone stop Parker Dime at the head of this field? That Mustang is looking just as quick as it's always been. We'll see you next week for Laguna Seca. For now, big thanks to Elite Entertainment and WBM Racing for your support of this fantastic championship, and we'll see you next time here on Pit Road Productions.